My girlfriend's ultimate betrayal, how I found out she was cheating with 4 guys. I never thought I'd be the guy writing one of those long betrayal stories you hear about on the internet, the kind that makes you shake your head and wonder how someone could be so blind to what was happening right in front of them. But here I am, because what I went through still feels like something out of a twisted soap opera, except it was my real life. For 3 years, I thought I had found the woman I was going to spend the rest of my life with. We weren't perfect, but who is? We laughed together, cried together, and talked about the kind of future you only build when you're sure. I worked long shifts, picked up overtime, and started secretly saving for a ring because I wanted our proposal to be unforgettable. But slowly, little cracks began to show, and those cracks grew into a canyon I didn't see until it swallowed me whole. It started with her phone lighting up at weird hours of the night. At first, I brushed it off, thinking maybe it was work or some friend venting late. She told me it was just work stuff, but something in me didn't sit right. Calls at 2 a.m.? Notifications back to back with her hiding her screen from me? My gut was screaming, but my heart was in denial. I told myself not to snoop, not to be that guy who goes through his partner's phone, because trust is supposed to be everything. But trust has a funny way of turning into naivety when the person you love is living a double life. And one night, when the phone buzzed nonstop and she was in the shower humming like her world was problem-free, I picked it up. That's when my entire world came crashing down in ways I couldn't have imagined in my worst nightmares. When I unlocked her phone, I wasn't ready for what I saw. My chest tightened as the screen lit up with messages stacked on top of each other, each from different names I instantly recognized. The first thread I opened hit me like a truck. It was from my best friend, the guy who had stood beside me through school fights, late night talks, and even family struggles. He was supposed to be my brother in everything but blood. Their chat wasn't just casual. It was intimate, filled with pictures I never wanted burned into my brain, with her laughing about how I never suspected a thing. My stomach twisted, but before I could process, I clicked into another conversation, this one with her boss. That classic cliche you hear about, the office affair? Yeah, it wasn't just a rumor in movies. The messages were filled with him bragging about sneaking around with her during late work nights while I was at home, hey, exhausted from working overtime to save for our future. And if that wasn't enough, another thread was from our neighbor, the guy who always smiled politely in the hallway, the one I'd lent tools to and shared beers with when he knocked on my door. He was talking about meeting up while I was on double shifts, thanking her for keeping it quiet because neighbors gossip. The final blow came when I opened the chat with her so-called gay best friend. For years, she swore he was harmless, just a buddy she could be herself around. Turns out the guy wasn't gay at all. He was very straight and very involved with my girlfriend. The texts between them were the worst, mocking me for being predictable, saying I was too loyal and too busy chasing money to notice. 4 men, 4 lies, 4 betrayals stacked on top of each other until I felt like my entire life was one giant joke everyone was in on but me. My hands were shaking, my throat dry, my heart pounding in my ears as I realized that for nearly 8 months, while I was breaking my back to build us a future, she was living a secret life, juggling lies and laughing about how easy it was. When she came out of the shower that night, towel wrapped around her hair, humming like life was good, I couldn't even look at her the same. My world had already cracked open, and the shards were cutting deeper with every second. I didn't want to believe it, so part of me held on to the ridiculous hope that maybe I'd misunderstood, maybe there was some explanation. But the words, the pictures, the tone of those conversations, there was no misunderstanding. When I confronted her, my voice was trembling, my chest heavy, but I asked anyway, who are you really? Because the person I just saw on your phone isn't the woman I thought I knew. For a moment, I expected panic, excuses, tears, something human. But what she gave me instead was laughter, cold, mocking laughter that made the room feel like ice. She didn't even try to deny it. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Took you long enough to figure it out. You're too predictable." I got bored. Those words sliced through me sharper than any knife. Bored. I was out here sacrificing sleep, health, and my own happiness to give us a stable life, and she was bored? I thought she'd cry, beg, explain, but instead she shrugged like it was no big deal. Like breaking my heart was just another Tuesday. The worst part? She didn't stop there. She went on about how each of them gave her something I didn't. My best friend gave her excitement. Her boss gave her power. The neighbor gave her convenience, and the gay friend gave her comfort. She said I was too focused on the future and not enough on fun. I wanted to scream, break something, anything, but instead, I just felt hollow. My so-called best friend had stabbed me in the back. My neighbor had disrespected my home, her boss had abused his position, and that friend she swore was safe had been lying all along. It wasn't just her betrayal, it was theirs too. And in that moment, I realized I didn't just lose a girlfriend. I lost trust in almost everyone I thought mattered. I remember standing there in silence after she said those words, like the floor had just disappeared from under me. I thought I'd be angry, thought I'd yell or demand answers, but instead, all I felt was numb. My body moved on autopilot. I went into the bedroom, pulled out a bag, and started throwing my essentials inside. Clothes, documents, anything I could grab in that dazed state. She barely reacted, scrolling through her phone like my pain was background noise. When I zipped the bag and walked toward the door, she smirked and said, "Going to run away? You'll be back." Guys like you always come back. I didn't reply. I couldn't. I just left, my hands trembling as I locked the door behind me for the last time. That night, I crashed at a cheap motel, staring at the ceiling until dawn, my mind replaying everything like a broken record. But the worst wasn't over. The next day, my phone buzzed with a message from my so-called best friend. It wasn't personal, he wrote. These things happen. Don't make it a big deal. My chest burned reading those words. How could betraying me, mocking me, sleeping with the woman I planned to marry, not be personal? Another message came. You're strong, man. You'll get over it. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. Then the neighbor texted, pretending like he didn't know I'd found out. And when I ignored him, he casually messaged, hope we're still cool, man. The audacity was unreal. Later that evening, she called me, not to apologize, but to say she was going out to clear her head. I knew what that meant, probably meeting one of them while I sat broken. That was the last straw. I blocked her, blocked all of them, and within a week I moved to another city. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just disappeared because if I stayed, I knew the constant reminders of betrayal would eat me alive. Therapy became my only outlet, the one place I could spill my anger, confusion, and heartbreak without judgment. Still, no matter how much I tried to bury it, the betrayal gnawed at me. The people I loved most had conspired in my blind spot, and the only way forward was to rebuild from scratch. 2 months passed, and I thought I was finally free. I had my own apartment in a new city, a routine that didn't revolve around lies, and therapy sessions that helped me make sense of the storm I had survived. Slowly, the fog lifted, and I began to breathe again. That's when the calls started. Unknown numbers popping up on my phone, each one ignored until, one night, curiosity got the better of me. I answered, and the voice on the other end made my stomach churn. It was her. She wasn't laughing this time. She was sobbing, words tumbling out between broken breaths. She told me her life had fallen apart. The boss had dumped her and fired her once he got what he wanted. The neighbor had moved away without a word. My ex-best friend had been caught cheating on his girlfriend, who left him broke and alone. And the gay friend she swore was safe? He'd ghosted her, leaving her with nothing but silence. She cried that she had made a huge mistake and begged me to take her back to work things out. For a second, I almost pitied her, almost remembered the girl I once loved. But then I remembered the laughter, the mockery, the way she said I was predictable and boring while juggling 4 other men. I remembered the hollow nights I worked myself to exhaustion while she was busy betraying me. I let out a laugh, not of joy, but of disbelief, and said, some things you don't come back from. This is one of them. Then I hung up, blocked the number, and sat in silence. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't triumph. It was closure. For the first time in months, I felt like I wasn't the one carrying the weight of her betrayal anymore. She had destroyed herself with her own choices, and I no longer had to pick up the pieces. Betrayal teaches you many things: pain, anger, loss. But the biggest lesson? That sometimes the best revenge is moving on, rebuilding stronger, and never letting someone who broke you have the power to do it again. What would you have done?